This France squad could honestly be even more dangerous than the one that lifted the World Cup. Just think about that for a moment. France have already made it to 3 World Cup finals across the last 7 tournaments. They've won 2 World Cups, created legends like Zidane, Henry and Platini, and in 2022, Kylian Mbappe scored a hat-trick in the World Cup final but still ended up without the trophy. But this team feels different. For the first time in the Mbappe era, France no longer look like a side that needs Mbappe to save them every time. Against Norway, Mbappe didn't score, and it didn't matter. France still cruised to a 4-1 win, wrapped up the group stage with a perfect 9 points, scored 10 goals while allowing just 2, and fired 18 shots with 9 on target. Ousmane Dembélé has suddenly exploded with 4 goals in his last 2 World Cup games after going scoreless in his previous 11, including the second fastest hat-trick in World Cup history. Désiré Doué keeps stepping up. Michael Olise keeps pulling the strings in attack. Mike Maignan came up with a huge penalty, save to shut down Norway's hopes of a comeback. And maybe the most impressive part was that France stayed just as organised even with Didier Deschamps away from the touchline. This isn't a team built around one superstar anymore. It's a squad packed with match winners, tactical options, incredible depth, and an attack that can punish opponents from almost anywhere on the field. So, has the rest of the football world seriously overlooked what France have become? This might not only be Didier Deschamps' greatest France side, it could also mean the biggest question at the 2026 World Cup isn't whether France can win it, but whether anyone can actually stop them. France didn't enter this World Cup as an unknown team. They arrived carrying history, pressure, heartbreak, and huge expectations. World champions in 1998, European champions in 2000, World Cup finalists in 2006, Euro finalists in 2016, World champions again in 2018, Nations League winners in 2021, and World Cup finalists in 2022. This isn't just another talented national team, it's one of football's greatest tournament machines. And the early signs from 2026 suggest something even bigger could be taking shape. This isn't simply another France squad full of stars, it's a France team with answers all over the pitch. They qualified with confidence, finishing top of Group D with 5 wins, 1 draw, no losses, 16 goals scored, and only 4 conceded. Calm, balanced, organised, and everything you'd expect from a Didier Deschamps side. Limit the risks, trust the system, and let the world-class attackers take care of the final third. Nothing flashy, nothing careless. Heading into the tournament, though, the spotlight was still on one player, Mbappe. That made sense. He's the captain, France's all-time top scorer, and the player who delivered one of the greatest individual World Cup final performances ever back in 2022. Every opponent builds their game plan around stopping him first, but France don't look like a team waiting for Mbappe to rescue them anymore. They look like a team that treats him as one dangerous weapon among many. That's the biggest change, and it's the part that should concern every rival. Behind Mbappe are Dembélé, Barcola, Doué, Olise, Cherki, Mateta, Thuram, and Akliouche. They have speed out wide, tight control between the lines, direct runners, strong ball carriers, relentless pressing, smart movement inside the box. Different styles, different tempos, and different ways to break teams down. Tournament football is rarely won with only one attacking plan. Opponents adjust, crowd the middle, and double-team the biggest threat. France already have backup answers ready. They kicked things off with a 3-1 victory over Senegal, a game that carried extra meaning after Senegal famously stunned defending champions France in the 2002 opener. This time, France stayed in control. They matched the physical battle, punished teams on the break, and finished their chances with confidence. Against Iraq, they claimed a 3-0 win after a long weather delay, showing patience, focus, and composure despite the interruption. Mbappe scored twice, Dembélé added another, and France booked their place in the next round before the final group match. Then came Norway, and that's when the story took a completely different turn. Before kickoff, all the attention was on Mbappe versus Haaland, 2 of the biggest stars in world football and both team captains. But Norway had already qualified, rotated their lineup heavily, and left both Haaland and Ødegaard on the bench. The superstar showdown never happened. Mbappe nearly scored after just 22 seconds, and that instantly set the mood. France weren't treating this like a meaningless game. They kept attacking the space behind Norway's defense, forcing defenders to chase back, stretching the pitch from side to side against a rotated team that struggled to deal with their pace. The first goal came from that constant pressure. Mbappe found Dembélé, who cut inside onto his left foot and finished with outstanding precision, a strike that showed defenders even the smallest gap was too much. The second goal made France's approach even clearer. Mbappe created the opening, but his off-the-ball movement was just as important, dragging defenders away and creating the lane for Dembélé to burst into. Norway had to deal with two major threats at the same time, the pass into Mbappe and Dembélé cutting inside. They couldn't stop either. Norway answered quickly through Ørsgaard. And that goal is important because it keeps the performance in perspective. France weren't flawless. The space was available, the finish was excellent, and Norway found a way back into the match. That's worth remembering. But Dembélé completed his hat-trick in the 32nd minute after a setup from Tchouaméni. 3 goals before half-time. 3 goals from similar areas. 3 clear reminders that if defenders spend the whole match focused on Mbappe, Dembélé can make them pay. Before this World Cup, Dembélé had played 11 World Cup matches without finding the net. Now, after scoring against Iraq and then grabbing 3 against Norway, he had 4 goals in just 2 games. He joined Just Fontaine and Mbappe as only the 3rd French player ever to score a World Cup hat-trick. That's a remarkable achievement. Norway still had a chance to cut the score to 3-2 early in the second half, after Theo Hernandez conceded a penalty on Oscar Bob. Strand Larsen stepped up to take the penalty, but Maignan guessed correctly, got down low and made the save. He stopped the comeback before it could become the story of the match. Complete teams don't just score brilliant goals, they also survive the moments that can change everything. France did both. Late in the game, Barcola came on, delivered a perfect cross, and Doué powered home the 4th goal with a header. France had already taken off Dembélé and Mbappe, replacing them with fresh attacking players. The numbers backed everything up. They finished with 18 shots, 9 on target, 4 goals, 17 crosses, 560 passes, and 495 completed. That's not a team relying only on individual brilliance. That's a team controlling possession, territory, and the pace of the game. 3 matches, 9 points, 10 goals scored, only 2 conceded, a goal difference of +8, several different scorers, Mbappe still making the difference, Dembélé in golden boot form, Doué scoring, Barcola assisting, and Maignan producing a huge save while the match was still alive. The football world didn't need another reminder of how dangerous Mbappe is. Everyone already knew that. What Norway showed was something even more unsettling. France remain a huge threat even when Mbappe isn't the player finishing the chances. Before the tournament, all eyes were on Mbappe. 3 games later, Dembélé has become one of the biggest talking points. If France can control a group while a different match winner shines in every game, the rest of this tournament faces a massive challenge. Nobody ever questioned Dembélé's talent. That was never the issue. His pace has always been there. His balance has always been there. His ability to beat defenders on either side has always been there. From Rennes to Dortmund, then Barcelona and PSG, he has never looked like an ordinary winger with the ball at his feet. The real question was never about his talent. It was whether he could deliver it consistently at the highest level. For years, that was the debate. At Barcelona, the moments of brilliance were incredible, but they rarely lasted for long. Injuries, inconsistency, stunning dribbles followed by rushed decisions, dangerous attacks ending with poor final passes, games where he looked unstoppable, then long spells where the end product didn't match the promise. The criticism wasn't about his ability. It was that his talent was so obvious that the inconsistency became impossible to ignore. PSG completely changed that conversation. He became less of a traditional winger and more of a complete attacking weapon. He pressed with greater discipline, linked up faster, attacked central areas more often, and stopped taking 5 touches before making 1 decision. That growth reached another level in 2025 when he won the Best FIFA Men's Player of the Year award, after a season that confirmed his rise from exciting talent to true match winner. But international football asks a different question. Can you deliver when the game is slower, tighter, and every mistake carries even more pressure? Before this tournament, Dembélé had played 11 World Cup matches without scoring. 11. He had already been part of France's biggest moments and was a world champion. But on the World Cup stage, he had never fully taken over a match the way many believed he could. That changed against Iraq. France won 3-0, Mbappe scored twice, but Dembélé also found the net, provided an assist, and proved France's attack no longer depends on one player alone. It wasn't only the goal, it was his sharp movement, the timing of his runs, how quickly he received and released the ball, and how often he attacked the penalty area instead of staying wide waiting for space. Then came Norway, and all the old questions about Dembélé suddenly disappeared. 3 goals in 32 minutes, a first-half World Cup hat-trick, and one of the fastest first-half hat-tricks since Oleg Salenko's famous performance in 1994. He also became only the 3rd French player ever to score a World Cup hat-trick, joining Just Fontaine and Mbappe. That wasn't just a brief hot streak, it was a player completely changing his role in the tournament. What made it so convincing wasn't only the finishing, it was how Norway kept facing the same problem again and again. Dembélé repeatedly found space on the right, received the ball with room to turn, cut onto his left foot, and got his shot away before the defence could recover. The first goal came after Mbappe picked him out with a crossfield pass. The second arrived because Mbappe's movement opened the angle once again. The third came from Tchouaméni's assist, and by then Norway knew exactly what was coming, but still couldn't stop it. That's the difference between raw talent and complete control. Dembélé wasn't just dribbling at defenders for the sake of it. He was arriving in zones where France had already shifted the defensive block out of position. Mbappe pulled attention everywhere. Olise linked play between the lines, Tchouaméni gave stability behind the attack, and Dembélé found space on the blind side of defenders who were already worried about someone else. He's taking fewer unnecessary touches, no longer trying to win the same duel 3 times. Receive, scan, shift, shoot. The old Dembélé broke structure through pure dribbling, but this version breaks structure through timing and movement instead. Now Mbappe comes into focus because he didn't score against Norway and still controlled the match completely. That only feels strange if you judge elite forwards by goals alone. His 2 assists were obvious, but his influence went far beyond that. From the opening minute, he attacked early, pushed Norway deep, and made it clear France were not treating this as a casual group stage match. After that, every Norwegian defender had to track his position and acceleration constantly. That constant attention opened space for everyone else. On Dembélé's second goal, Mbappe's decoy run mattered almost as much as the final pass, dragging defensive focus toward him, opening the lane for Dembélé to cut inside, and turning Norway's backline into a unit reacting instead of controlling. That's what elite forwards do. They change opponent behaviour before the chance even fully forms. Mbappe had already scored 4 goals at this World Cup before facing Norway, and he reached 100 caps for France against Iraq. His brace in that match took him to 60 international goals, making him France's all-time leading scorer. Already a World Cup winner, already a World Cup final hat-trick scorer, but this version of Mbappe might be even more dangerous because he isn't forcing everything through himself. He's selecting moments. That's real leadership in a tournament team. Against Norway, he created for Dembélé, stretched the defensive line, occupied defenders, and allowed another attacker to own the spotlight. He didn't demand every shot or treat the captaincy like ownership of the final third, and that's exactly what makes France so hard to prepare for. Step toward Mbappe, and Dembélé attacks the space. Overcommit to stopping Dembélé cutting inside, and Mbappe suddenly has room to sprint. Narrow the pitch, and Barcola or Doué come off the bench and flip the angle completely. Press high, and France go over you or around you. France have always had stars. That was never the scary part. The scary part is that the roles are finally clicking at the same time. Dembélé is no longer just a winger hoping for something flashy. He's turning into a consistent scoring threat. Mbappe is no longer just a finisher chasing records. He's controlling games through movement, assists, and pure gravity. When both of those things happen together, France stop looking like a team built on moments of brilliance and start looking like a system built around multiple threats from everywhere. The Norway match didn't prove Dembélé is talented. Everyone already knew that. It proved he's ready to decide World Cup games. It didn't prove Mbappe is great. Everyone already knew that too. It proved he can dominate without scoring. When France's most unpredictable attacker becomes clinical and their most feared attacker becomes more complete, it creates a problem no defense can solve by marking just one player. France are becoming harder to defend because they no longer attack from a single obvious lane. For years, the plan was simple. Stop the transition, protect the space behind the right back, and ensure the centre-back nearest Mbappe never gets isolated, though even then, he could still break it open. That problem hasn't disappeared. It has multiplied. Overload Mbappe's side, and Dembélé finds space on the opposite flank. Step out too early on Dembélé, and Olise receives between the lines. Collapse the midfield, and Doué appears in the half spaces. Tuck the fullback inside, and France stretch the pitch wide. And if the game opens late, Barcola, Cherki, Mateta, Thuram and Akliouche come off the bench, and it barely feels like a drop in quality. That bench is worth stopping on for a second. Barcola assisted Doué's stoppage time goal right after coming on, showing how quickly France can change a game without losing rhythm. Cherki added another layer, giving France a player who can receive in tight spaces and instantly flip the direction of attacks. Mateta came in for Mbappe and brought a totally different reference point up front. France weren't just holding onto a lead against Norway. They were switching shapes without breaking structure. Most top contenders drop level when they rotate. France didn't. Compare that to other nations. Argentina carry huge attacking danger, but are more emotionally tied to one central focal point. Germany have shown ruthless spells, but their group stage loss to Ecuador exposed how they can be disrupted when matches tighten up. Spain have elite technical control, but France currently offer more variety in the final third. Brazil have world-class forwards and deep tournament history, but France's rotation from starting 11 to bench might be the strongest left in the competition. The hidden factor is chemistry. Dembélé, Barcola and Doué already know each other's movements from their time at PSG. Olise fits in naturally because he constantly occupies the exact spaces France want to attack. Cherki plays through pressure instead of avoiding it. International football offers limited preparation time, so teams that succeed usually rely on long-term continuity or club-level connections they can carry into national duty. France have both, and that's why their combinations look automatic instead of forced. There are still issues worth pointing out. Norway still created moments France will need to fix. Osgaard scored too easily after France's second goal. Bob found pockets of space in the second half. Hernandez conceded a penalty that could have brought it back to 3-2. Knockout football is colder, sharper, and far more unforgiving. One defensive lapse, one set piece given away, one missed finish that flips the pressure instantly. France clearly have the firepower to beat anyone left in this tournament, but the defensive details still need tightening if they want to go all the way. And there's one detail that can't be ignored. Deschamps wasn't even on the touchline against Norway. He missed the match after the passing of his mother, with Guy Stéphane stepping in from the bench. Even without the main voice on the sidelines, the press stayed organised, the attacking structure stayed clean, and the substitutions still made sense. The system didn't fall apart. It held firm without its architect present. That says a lot. This isn't just coaching anymore. It's automation built through repetition and understanding. The players know when to slow it down, when to accelerate, how to protect a lead without going passive, and how to rotate without losing shape. France could lose the headline duel of Mbappe versus Haaland before kickoff and still deliver one of the most dominant attacking displays of the group stage. The real question heading into the knockout rounds isn't whether France have enough talent, because that's obvious. It's whether any team left can actually stop all of it at the same time. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more deep tactical football analysis, share it with other fans, and drop a comment with your take on how far this France team can go.